Ice Cube is finally speaking out against Diddy after remaining silent for more than 20 years about his time with him. Recently, Ice Cube testified about his experiences with Diddy, including how he witnessed him grooming children. Meanwhile, Kanye West has shown support for Diddy by attending his trial. One juror was just removed after it was discovered that Diddy's attorneys were allegedly influencing him. And a leaked call between Kanye and Diddy is now going viral.
But I've been part of the club.
Almost 40 years rocking the mic.
You still killing it, goddamn.
And I'm going to tell you right now, me and Dub C ain't never been to a Diddy party, motherfucker. Nah.
Thank God.
You ain't got to worry about us on them motherfucking tapes. Now check this shit out.
You gotta sing me that part.
Ice Cube has reportedly testified about what he witnessed in Diddy's mansion back in 1994. The Diddy trial is now in its fourth week. During the production of Ice Cube's War and Peace album, Diddy invited him to his home. The FBI has now presented evidence of the drugs, firearms, and escorts that Ice Cube saw there. According to his testimony, Diddy's mansion was filled with lubricant, narcotics, whips, and walls lined with thousands of bottles of baby oil. In front of guests, Diddy would physically abuse the women living there. Ice Cube refused to stay silent, defying Diddy's expectation that he would help hide his crimes like everyone else. His testimony included names, dates, locations, and detailed descriptions.
Diddy, you're hearing Diddy everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have any kind of run-in with Diddy? Did you ever do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
Yeah, he's produced a few many folk.
Ice Cube told jurors about Diddy's mistreatment of women and everything he witnessed inside that disturbing mansion. Like others in the industry, Diddy expected Ice Cube to remain silent and help cover up his actions. Diddy's attorneys argued that Cube's statements were biased and based on rumors. But the judge dismissed their objections, noting that Cube was under oath and speaking from first-hand knowledge. He went on to describe hidden rooms, security footage, and the threats Diddy and his associates used to organize their so-called freak-offs. Cube also revealed how powerful figures in the music industry tried to silence him, warning that he would never work again. To this day, Ice Cube says he has been blackballed by these elites.
And some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing. So, ever since I put out the contract with Black America, you know they've been fucking with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, you know. I expect that.
Platform again.
What platforms have banned you?
I've been I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. You know, I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but
you'd be a good booking for them.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I've, I'm not, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
Okay. All right. So you think he's being targeted. So you don't think, Suge said, you can say...
Hollywood is full of predators, as shown by Ice Cube's courtroom disclosures. The film industry is rife with sexual abuse, and some of its most famous names, Roman Polanski, Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and now Diddy, were sexual predators who coerced young men into performing horrific sexual acts. These individuals are part of what Cube called the gay mafia that exerts control over both the music and film industries. Record label executives and directors have allegedly joined Diddy in sex trafficking operations.
You got to take drugs. You're going through so much. Maintain your man card.
Diddy is allegedly still manipulating the case. The court recently removed juror number 6 after discovering that he had lied during selection. Diddy's attorneys fought to keep him on the panel, arguing that he was vital to their defense. This raises serious questions. How did Diddy manage to get someone like this onto the jury in the first place?
Diddy Juror 6 gave multiple inconsistent statements. The judge was going over his issues with juror number 6, and although he did not make a final determination, his thoughts on juror number 6 being removed were pretty clear. He stated that in the initial process, juror number 6 said that he lived in the Bronx with his fiancée.
Juror 6's removal has sparked concern from the courts to the public. Sources close to the case say that during jury selection, he failed to disclose a hidden family connection to Bad Boy Records.
Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has made a surprise appearance at Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial on Friday. He expressed support for his fellow rapper as he defends against sex trafficking charges.
Big breaking news tonight. For the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
Diddy always been the type of individual that want to have ups on the next person no matter what they was doing. He did the stuff to Ja Rule so he could go after Jay-Z. They not gonna come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them, and they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being oiled up in the whole 9 yards. Until the feds say, hey, yo, listen here. Hey, buddy, we got you on this tape, and girl looked like she was pretty young.
Diddy's abuse has destroyed hundreds of lives. He allegedly forced young artists into lives of humiliation after grooming and manipulating them. Aaron Carter and Justin Bieber are rumored to have turned to drugs to cope with the trauma, attempting to erase their memories and numb the pain.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their
oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and
to listen to.
The central figure in this trial is Jane, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Combs, whose identity is being protected for her safety. Her testimony has been raw, emotional, and deeply unsettling, revealing life behind the heavily guarded gates of Diddy's empire. Jane described a hidden world the public was never meant to see: years of sexual coercion, violent outbursts, and psychological manipulation. One account in particular left the courtroom in stunned silence.
She says that Diddy forced her to take drugs and that she would be awake for days, that she was taking ecstasy and Molly. And she said on these trips, she was sometimes so high on drugs that she lost her sense of self. Jane has finally taken the stand. Now, we're not allowed to reveal her identity because she's testifying under a pseudonym. She's talking about how she and Diddy first met, how they met in Miami and how he was so sweet and loving and that he was actually dating a friend of hers at the time, but that the two of them started going on trips to Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. During her testimony, she's been crying, and it seems like it's been really hard for her to be up there on the stand. She is now talking about how Diddy would make her watch pornography while they were having sex with each other, and that he would talk to her about his fantasies. He would make her wear lingerie and what she calls stripper heels, and that at one point he told her that he wanted to see her have sex with other men. That's when he took her to a hotel room, and she starts describing how his assistants were in there setting things up with baby oil and the lighting and providing drinks. And she said that when she was there, he then hired an escort from a company called Cowboys for Angels. She said that this escort's name was Dawn and that she had sex with this man in front of Diddy while he masturbated. Jane testified that over the next few years, 90% of her relationship with Diddy centered around these sexual encounters with male escorts. She testified that she told Diddy multiple times, verbally and in writing, that she did not want to participate in these sexual encounters.
Third alleged victim, who goes by the pseudonym Jane, was back on the witness stand for her first full day of testimony. The prosecutor played an audio recording for the jury of a hotel night with a male prostitute Jane identified as Dawn. On the recording, Jane and Dawn are looking for a condom, but Combs didn't allow it and can be heard saying, quote, "You're taking that expletive." Now, Jane testified, quote, "I just didn't want to disappoint my lover. He would be unhappy and wouldn't be satisfied with me." Jane went on to tearfully tell the jury about her birthday in 2023 when she said she was made to have sex with 3 different men in addition to Combs. The prosecutor asked, why? Jane responded, "I don't know. It had become so routine," and added that she turned robotic. Jane told the jury that after a while, Combs didn't have to directly ask her for these hotel nights. She testified, "I knew it was to be expected." Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. If convicted, he faces the possibility.
Jane continued her testimony by recounting an incident the court was not expecting. She claimed that during a trip to Las Vegas, Diddy took her to meet another famous rapper and his girlfriend. What began as a glamorous weekend quickly turned dark. Sources close to the investigation believe that rapper was Kanye West, although Jane refused to name names in court. Kanye's repeated appearances during her testimony have fueled rumors.
Real from the front line, you know what I'm saying? That's wicked, wicked, wicked. So you be careful. Yeah. I can't do nothing if they, you know what I'm saying? I need you out there, you feel me? Yeah. I hear you. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. And have some fucking fun. Yeah. You're not having no fun and they get behind the mic, have some fun, chop up the samples, get back on your headband, vibes, and have some fun, get back to smiling. Yeah. These other motherfuckers, they waste your time, big. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I understand.
After Cassie's testimony, the atmosphere in the courtroom grew even more somber. She described in detail what allegedly happened at Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, and it was far worse than anyone had imagined. Presented as elite industry gatherings, Cassie testified that these events were actually used to groom young people for sexual exploitation and abuse. She described how Diddy controlled every detail and became angry, violent, and unpredictable when things didn't go his way.
Male escorts that were happening at one time. These freak-offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a time. And control is the word we need to talk about. That is what prosecutors really laid out. And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these freak-offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, he sat off to the side really directing things according to her and masturbating along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, really did not seem rehearsed in the slightest. It did seem like this is her story and she didn't really want to be in a position where she had to tell it in this way, but was doing what needed to be done.
And just quickly, Caitlin, what was Diddy doing when he's sitting there? I'm just envisioning you've got his family sitting behind him with all these grotesque details, this woman on the stand. What was his reaction?
First and foremost, he came into the courtroom and acknowledged his children. That is something he has done every single day. But during the actual testimony, when things got really dark, one of the mothers of one of his children had to get up and leave the courtroom. She couldn't sit through it. And you, Brian, have been in so many of these court cases the way I have. You know that the defendant is not supposed to react, but Diddy reacted. There were a few times where he was shaking his head no, kind of nodding along. There was a deep sigh at one point. But in two instances, one when they were talking about baby oil and the fact that it needed to be reapplied at sometimes 5-minute intervals because that's what he wanted to see. And then another instance when Kathy revealed the pseudonyms that he uses at hotels, that he actually pushed his chair all the way back from the defense table.
A male sex worker known as the Punisher, who was involved in Diddy's freak-off parties, also testified he claimed to have had between 8 and 12 encounters with Cassie at Diddy's instruction, during which Combs would watch and direct him. According to his account, Cassie would often sigh or wince, but her emotional well-being was never considered. The goal, he said, was not pleasure, but control Diddy's obsessive need to dominate and dehumanize.
On the stand, she said that guys would climax on her and she would take the cum and rub it on Diddy's nipples. Was this happening in your sessions?
Well, so it is an assumption, right? So, obviously with the veil, there was a very deliberate attempt to hide his identity.
Yeah.
So they never had any interactions or even any outward conversation in my presence. So there was a routine where sometimes we'll be right in the middle of sex and he'll just stand up and walk out of the room. And she would take that cue and she would follow him out. So I did recognize, and I mentioned it in my book, that it became a habit that we're having sex on couches with sheets. We started in towels. I would climax, but she would specifically leave the room without wiping herself, without doing anything to take care of the whatever I left on her. So I assumed that's when he popped up, because once I climbed up, he popped up, he left the room, she popped up, she followed him. So I'm assuming that's when the lathering, whatever went on, happened at that point.
Okay, so at what point did he stop wearing a veil?
It was shortly after. The way that I ended up finding out who he was and they were, because obviously in conjunction with each other, about the 5th time, we were in a hotel called the Essex House. And when I would arrive for the sessions, I would be waiting around a couple of hours. So in this specific time, they put me into an extra room in the hotel suite. And to kill time, I decided to watch TV. And this specific hotel had a welcome message, which was, so when I cut on the TV, it specifically said, Essex House would like to welcome Mr. Sean Combs.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa, like I was blown away, man.
Right.
We are witnessing the collapse of a carefully built empire as Ice Cube breaks his silence. Jane and Cassie expose the horrors that happen behind closed doors, and Kanye's questionable appearances raise further suspicion. If even half of what is coming to light is true, Diddy's arrest will only be the beginning, because once all the pieces fall into place, no one will be safe from the truth, not politicians, not musicians, not executives,